welcome to Opinion Sharers. This is a platform that is deliberately created so that citizens, especially Nigerians, and we also welcome citizens of other nations to be able to share their opinions, to be able to talk of things that matters to them, especially social and political issues, things that directly affect us as human beings. So this is why this platform is being created, and I hope that we will deliberately, judiciously use it. And today we are talking about education, the purpose of education. All right. So I want to welcome the lady in the house, and I'd like for her to introduce herself. But before we do that, there's something that we need to pay attention to so that we don't disturb ourselves. When one person is talking, please don't talk at that time if that is possible for you. Because if two of us are talking at the same time, we will interfere ourselves, and then the audience will not be able to hear us. And I think we want to avoid that. All right. So we are broadcasting live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And we are still hoping that Tunde will join us. So while we wait for him, or while we join us, Simi, please take a few seconds to introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Similo Luawe, and I'm a productive talkative. I get engaged in all sort of societal activities, and what I'm working towards majorly is to achieve a better world where everybody can have equal rights, equal opportunities, and at least have minimum enjoyment. So that is what I do, and I'm a native of I'm a Nigerian, and I'm from a state, and we have so many young people doing that, and I'm one of them. And I believe that together we can make the world a better place. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Similolua. We welcome you. There are a lot of productive talkatives here on this platform today. I think perhaps all of us are. I know that it's only Timileyin that I'm still trying to understand him, whether he is a talkative or whether he considers himself that. Anyway, Michael, please briefly introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Olaogu Michael by name. I'm, of course, a researcher. I'm a pro-democracy fellow. I'm a fellow of the Cambacity Pan-African Youth Democracy Fellowship. And, of course, I'm a passionate educationist. I love education so much. And I'm also concerned about the progress of Africa. I am an author. I'm also writing a book presently. I've completed a manuscript on a book titled If Africa Will Ever Rise. And I know that the talkers in the house will do help to project the image of my book. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Timileyin, please.
Hello, everybody. I am Timileyin Ogutiaki, a Nigerian as well, and I am an environmental geoscientist, a researcher, and a passionate educationist as well. Yeah, my major interest lies in environmental sustainability and youth development. So, just like Mr. Paul said, he wants to be sure if I consider myself one talkative. Oh, yes, I am, but a productive one. Thank you.
All right, Timileyin. We are all talkative then, so let's hope that I can speak of Tunde as well. I've had an engagement with him about 2 weeks ago, and I was struggling to stop him. So let's hope he's still able to join us. He sent a message that he's having some difficulties, but let's go to the business. I would want Michael to go first. Okay. Ordinarily, they say it's ladies first, but let Michael go first to prepare the ground for the lady. All right. So, Michael, please, what is your own understanding of education? When you hear the word education, without going to, I don't want us to look at the dictionary meaning. All right. But to you, as a researcher, as an educationist, as a Nigerian, what is education?
Yeah, thank you very much. As a researcher, you will still permit me to quote some scholars here, some education scholars. I have two definitions of education for us. One, education is a process of learning, is a process of learning aimed at equipping individual to be a useful and functioning member of a society, which therefore means that if education is a process, education is from womb to tomb, because even infants, children in the womb, the fetus, they understand communication, they understand the language of education, because whenever a child disturbs the mother in the womb, if the mother should beat the stomach, definitely the child is being communicated to, the child is being educated. And of course, after delivery, the child continues the process of education from after delivery to the end. And of course, another definition of education is this: education is a way by which society renew and regenerate itself. So putting these two definitions together based on individual and of course looking at it from the context of a society, it tells us therefore that society is dependent, the growth of any society is dependent on the quality of education that any individual or group of individual possesses. So it tells us that education is man himself and man is education. But the usability of education in the context of any society determines the rise or the fall of any society. So in short, education is open book that anyone can learn from, provided the willpower and commitment is there for certain purposes, perhaps for individual growth and of course for societal development. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Simi, from the point of view of a woman, what is education?
So my own little understanding, I feel education is a way by which everybody acquires new knowledge, learn new things. It doesn't compulsorily have to be in school, but your ability to learn something maybe from the street, you can even learn from the market. But your ability to be enlightened, to have a different experience for what you have been feeling, to realize new things, to understand things in a different perspective. That is what I term education.
Mm, thank you. So I'm going to ask Michael, Timileyin, a little bit a different question. And my question would be, who is an illiterate? Uh, we don't have your audio. We don't have your audio.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me okay now?
Perfectly well.
Yeah. So when you talk about an illiterate, it does not necessarily mean someone that has not been to school or someone that has not had a formal education. An illiterate is somebody that has not been able to implement whatever new knowledge or whatever new information that has been provided to such person and to solve new problems, to solve problems and create solutions that are innovative. So in our own context these days, when we talk about an illiterate, we often say someone that has not been to school, someone that cannot read nor write. But in my opinion, I think someone that has not gone to school or that has not been to school might be able to solve problem in his own little way or be able to contribute immensely to a society. But what do we call someone that has been to school, but there is nothing to show for it in terms of creating solutions to existing problems or even identifying potential problems and creating solutions to them? Such person will be an illiterate to me.
Wow. That's why I'm so glad that I have people of this caliber on this discussion panel today. My last question that I wrote on this paper was actually, who is an educated illiterate? But you have fast forward to answer my question. the question that I'm even yet to ask to answer, and you combine it with what I've asked you, which makes it brilliant. I am very grateful that Nigeria, Africa has produced the level of intelligence, the level of intelligence young persons like you. All right. So I would want us to take it forward there. Simi, you are welcome back. All right. So see,
Thank you.
some of you may not have heard of my book. So, and this is not promotion. Okay. This is just it's something that I'm passionate about. All right. In the introduction and even one of the chapters, it talked about education, what education actually is. All right. And there I talk extensively about how the current education that we have, especially in Africa, in some part of Asia, has not prepared the 21st century man for the challenges, the multifaceted challenges, the increasing challenges of this world. So I don't know how people whom Timileyin has rightly described, I mean, the category of people that will fall into the educated illiterate, I don't know how they are going to cope. But then let's go to the next thing on the agenda. Michael, what are we supposed to benefit from education?
Education is meant to actually, education is more like an injection that when an individual is given, it triggers a whole lot of reactions from within to ask questions about. For example, if you are told that, for example, that education is power, you yourself you should be able to know the definition or why education is regarded as power. Because education provides information, it illuminates the mind, and of course, it gives clarity to issues that seems unclear. So education is meant to engineer questions. And when all these questions are being engineered, they are meant to equally come with answers that are meant to improve the life of an individual and at the same time to promote or to engineer development, growth and development in any society. That is just the simple illustration that goes with the question. It's meant to actually cause a whole lot of reactions in an individual and of course in a society for individual and societal development.
Thank you, Michael. I think we are getting some feedback from your mic. I think so. So which means the link with which you log in before, if possible, check if that browser is still open. Just close that browser. The browser with which you first of all log in, the browser might still be open.
No, all the
So,
browsers are closed.
okay.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can.
All right. Okay.
All right. I'll go to Simi.
Yes.
Do you think schools, colleges, and universities, do you think they are fulfilling their purpose? Or maybe you start with what's the purpose of these schools, universities, and colleges were supposed to be, and then you now conclude with whether they are actually fulfilling their purpose.
Well, starting from what the purpose of the universities, starting from primary school, secondary school, university, colleges, what they are meant to do is to train our brain to give us this kind of education. Like you can remember, like in primary school now, everything I learned in primary school is irrelevant to because I'm studying now. When we look about our teeth, you think about home economics. Is it they are teaching me how to sweep? Like you did agricultural science. I'm not a farmer. I didn't tell you I wanted to be a farmer. But what this thing does to the brain is it gives us a clue about everything around us. It makes us, it broadens our knowledge, it broadens our mind, it makes us see things in different perspectives. Now, when you go to the farm as somebody who has passed through school, you will see things and you feel like, loamy soil is very good to plant, or so soil is good to plant. But somebody that's never been to school can just pack clay soil and start planting and believe that this thing should grow. But because that person doesn't have that knowledge, it's not because she needed that knowledge, that's why they gave it to you, but because they feel that it is part of the things you should know. It forms the essential part of everything that you should know. That is why it is given. So definitely, education is to give us secondary school, primary school, or all sorts of school is to give us this kind of knowledge, is to broaden our intelligence about different things around us and to know a lot of things. So I feel that to a reasonable extent, schools are performing their roles because obviously if you see somebody that stopped at secondary school and somebody that proceeded to the university, there will always be a difference between them in the way they talk, the way they communicate, the way they react to things. Ordinarily, some people, when they don't even pass through school, they are kind of aggressive about everything. When you tell somebody that you are stupid, the person that has a knowledge of education can see it in a different perspective, like, okay, that is probably my inability to do the right thing at the right time. But if you tell a stark illiterate that you are stupid, my brother, you are in for it because they may think that this is an abuse, you are calling them a fool. They can see it in different perspective. So obviously education helps our mind, and this school is also an instrument to pass this information, and I feel it is performing its duties and roles to a reasonable extent.
Thank you, Simi. Now, the same question will go to everyone else, because I want to see perspectives, and I'm expecting it that let me not preempt you anyway. So, Michael, you want to please take the same question?
Well, thank you so much. I have this notion about the type of education we have in this society. And of course, when I talk about this society, it gets extended to other countries in Africa. Using myself as a practical example, I have my first degree, I have my master's degree. And I kept asking myself a question: why have you gone this far, and why do you still want to go forward? As I talk to you, I'm starting my law degree next year as well. Okay, something informed the decision. And why I kept asking myself, why do we have some graduates that are so rational in thought, and why do we have some graduates that are so irrational in thought? The question is about the difference, is about the individuals that are involved in this. Okay, for example, we have seen graduates that still kept asking themselves why have they gone to school, and some people kept using the purpose for which they went to school to better their lots and to better the lots of their society, just like every one of us on this platform this afternoon. So looking at this question critically, some have gone to school just for going sake. And the school we went to, the way our education system is structured in Nigeria, with due respect to our leaders, is not designed to actually give us knowledge. For those of us that are doing well, the likes of Simi, the likes of Paul, the likes of Timileyin, it is just because we have committed ourselves that I want to go beyond what my university has fed me with, or what my university is feeding me with, to be a better person. I can tell you categorically that most of the things I learned during my master's degree were as a result of self-commitment to knowledge. Because my lecturers, some of them would just come, enter the classroom and walk out of it. But I needed to bring knowledge out of it, and that is why we are who we are today, and we still want to get better. So education in Africa is designed is just a volume of things that is free of knowledge. But you can bring knowledge out of it as individuals if you are committed that you actually want to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now, I want to go forward, a step forward before I go to Timileyin. Now, I want to show us a short video. I hope that this application would allow me to be able to show you. All right. So, okay, I'm going to show you a brief. I sent it.
I hope you are aware that we can't see the video.
You can't.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't.
Oh boy. Wow. I'm sorry about that. I thought you were actually able to see the video.
No,
But so what did you see throughout the 2 minutes?
we're just seeing your face.
Looking at your face.
Wow, that is terrible. Okay, I'm going to play it from my phone, okay? And because I've already done it and I don't want, I'm just going to play it briefly and show it to the screen.
That if we take away Africans from practice and move them to theory, we will be creating a labor force for ourselves. So they brought a school system which did not promote thinking but promoted remembering.
Oh, and you can't even hear it.
We can't.
We can.
You can hear it.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
They brought a school system which did not promote thinking but promoted remembering for the sake of creating good employees who don't think but can remember. Okay? Right. So they brought a school system where you learned useless things. Homo habilis. Who was Shaka's mother? What is the longest river in Africa? Tell me, what is the use of that rubbish? Okay. So you went into school and you were studying how many times Muslims pray per day. Yeah. You wake up at night to study how many times Muslims pray per day. So you memorize photosynthesis. You memorize how many teeth a dog has. You memorize everything. And at the end of the day, what did they produce? They produced someone who was a container of useless knowledge. A container of useless knowledge. That is why today we have doctors who have been independent for 55 years. Have you heard that there are vaccines being made by some doctors? So you walk out of med as someone who knows when to give Panadol, how to take temperature. You are a doctor who is a Panadol distributor, and it's not your fault. The education system. Okay, you have professors in this country, in the School of Forestry at Copperbelt University.
Okay, guys. I will stop at that. I will send the video to you individually after this program. All right. So you've heard what he said, right?
Yep.
He said a few things that are of interest to me. He said we are a container of knowledge, and that leads to the subject of rote learning that has been promoted so much around the world, not just in Africa. In fact, I think Asians does it perfectly well, more than do it. All right. It talks about the education that is meant for you to get a job. All right. And earlier today, I stumbled on some documents. I was talking about the pre-industrial revolution education. Those education at that time was created primarily for children because there was children labor in those days. So for children who were laborers, so it was supervised and oversaw by the England administrator. They have 2 hours per day that they went to classes. So what they did was they taught them reading, they taught them writing, they taught them geography and religion. And so they were sent to the industry, to the farm, to be producers. To be able to join in the manufacturing process. So, having seen this, you can still remember so please examine this.
Yeah, I would have several opinions regarding this particular question, but I would like to start with the purpose of education. The purpose of education is to give power and to give light. Education is supposed to illuminate. When you go to school, when you study, or whatever it is that they are doing in school, it's supposed to bring up questions. Why is this thing like this? And why is this not like the other one? Now, what should be instead of this? And now the power that it should give comes with freedom. Because by the time you see why something should not be, and the reason behind that, you will be able to have something we call invention. So there will be a kind of new knowledge that is self-sustaining, that will make you, let me not use the word FUTA uses every now and then, that most of us graduates of FUTA don't actually key into self-reliance. Something that should make you self-reliant because you have a purpose for life with good education. Now, are we doing what we are supposed to be doing? Maybe, I don't know if that question is directed to Africa or the world at large. If it is to Africa, the process of education is a long one. It is not something that should start and just end like that. It is something it is a process that has different stages. The first, you go from the unknown to the known, and from the known, and you arrive to another unknown. And you must admit that you don't know, which is why you keep learning. But we have seen, maybe in Africa, we have seen education as what we should just run to when we don't get a job. Let me just continue my master's, I beg. Let me just go for a PhD. Or our parents feel like if you don't go to school, you will never make it in life. You just have to go. But that is not what it is supposed to be. Yeah, we can say everything about education. Say education is about the Industrial Revolution. Education is about this. But the people that brought it, they are still schooling and they never stopped. So it is not as if Africans are targeted to be enslaved with education. The people that brought education to us, they are still schooling and they are doing a very great job with it. Now, I have seen two different perspectives. The way we take it, we see education as the way out. Once I go to school, my life is settled. No. We have people, I think I shared it personally with you, that I have maybe master's students and PhD graduates working under high school graduates. What do you call that? This is because there is no reason. The job description, you don't have to go to school before you do it. Perhaps you just need 1 to 2 months of training, and that is education. The training is education. So we have a lot of irrelevant school system, or let me say structures. You want to do BSc in biochemistry to end up working in the food industry doing quality assurance that you can learn in 2 months, in 3 months. But they will tell you need the basic background of biochemistry. No, who tells you that? You just need biology and chemistry. And someone will come to you and tell you need biochemistry. People that are doing biochemistry here, they are actually medical professionals. Microbiologists, they are medical professionals and they are specializing. It is only in Africa that I will see somebody, that will call himself a professor of microbiology. I don't understand. You want to be a professor in the whole of microbiology when people are choosing mycology, which is just the study of fungi. When people are doing bacteriology, they are just specializing. How do you expect them not to be very good at it and to be productive? Now, when we are talking about productivity, it is about how it affects people, the society, and the nation. You will be able to contribute immensely and with intention because you have the capacity, you have the content, and you admit, if you meet these people, even at the peak of their careers, they will come to tell you that I still do not know. There is a lot more to know. That's why they sit in the lab. Because there are still questions unanswered. But in our system, you will see someone become a professor and stop publishing because that is just their goal. There is nothing to write about again. There is no questions to ask. Meanwhile, when we get there, we just be like fools. That's what have I been studying all this while? And now you will realize that every profession has its purpose. Every course, every department, they have what they are meant to do. But we want to lump everything together and become a graduate that knows nothing eventually. So my point here is that this is a process. It starts from what you don't know to what you need to know to do what you have to do. That is what education is about. It is not about, let me go to school to memorize, to learn, to come out, I have a first class, I have a this, I have a master's, I have a PhD. It is total rubbish, honestly, because here they tailor each. In fact, there will be maybe faculty of forestry at FUTA, and they will say, I have MTech in forestry. Why someone here will graduate? A friend just graduated last week with MSc in wood science, which is just one tiny section of forestry. Just one tiny. And at home, we are a jack of all trades. We want to do everything, and that is not education. In fact, in my education, it is not effective education. So you get something, you stick to it, you produce something out of it. That is education. To me, that is education.
Okay, Timileyin, thank you. You're running ahead of us. Anyway, that's good. Go back to Michael. All right. See, based on the video that we've seen and some of the things that Timileyin has mentioned, I want you to just let out your views about these things. Number one is how can education prepare us to be part of knowledge? Note this: producing knowledge is not the same thing as going to school to acquire knowledge. For instance, maybe I go to say, a primary school to learn how to read ABCD. I have gone to, but how do you become someone who produces knowledge? That's one. Two. Now, what kind of mindset should one have prior to going to school, any school system at all? But let's say, especially higher learning, what kind of mindset should we have before? For instance, maybe I want to go back to university. What kind of mindset should I have before I go to the university? Or even before I apply to university. Now, I want you to have something at the back of your mind. Maybe I'm talking too much. And if you're not getting me, please, feel free to throw back the question for clarifications, all right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of Nigerians who will say, oh, I wanted to study medicine, but they give me microbiology. So what kind of mindset does that person has? His plan was, all his mindset was that I'm preparing to be a doctor. But then the system ended up giving him, I want A. And then they gave you C or D. So what kind of mindset should you have, towards pursuing higher learning?
Thank you very much. As regards knowledge
I didn't
production,
really
I think I stumbled on one of Simi's short clip. I don't know whether it was yesterday or today. One of our videos she launched on Facebook when she was talking about what education is meant to do to an individual in terms of job creation. I know, Simi, you did something around that, if I'm correct.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. Knowledge production is centered towards, let me use the slogan of my school. There's something, the slogan of University of Ilorin is Probitas Doctrina, and the short interpretation of that is worthy in learning and character. And knowledge acquisition is meant to also reproduce knowledge. So, as you are having the input of education, input of knowledge, there should also be output. Output in the sense that you reproduce what you are learning in a very profitable way to the society. Let us take, for example, I read mathematics education in my first degree, and everything I am doing now revolves around the policy environment, policy in around water resources, policy around earth, policy around education. And the question you will need to ask yourself is this: what has mathematics to do with earth policy? What has mathematics to do with environmental policy? What has mathematics to do with just talk of any policy? It boils down to what I want to produce. The school has opened my mind beyond the world of mathematics to seeing what I can produce or I can inject into my society in terms of development. So I am doing this because something has transformed my mind, something has ignited my mind so much that I know that I can contribute to this growth of my society in this area. And that informed my decision of having a master's degree around policy, master's in public administration, but I specialize in public policy, and which relates to what Timmy have said in terms of knowing what to do part time, most especially when pursuing advanced studies. So this has really helped me a lot, and I am producing. I won't say optimally because I want to produce more, but I am producing because my mind has been ignited and illuminated based on what I have learned from university and beyond what I have learned in my first degree. That is just to address that. Then, in terms of mindset, people get confused, most especially when they get to higher institution of learning. For someone who wants to read law and you have been given something around international relations or political science or history, they get confused along the line. And that's why when they graduate from university, they get confused, they don't produce optimally as expected, or they don't even produce at all. So the mindset that an average individual should have is that I am going to school to acquire knowledge, irrespective of the course I'm being given, to actually bet myself and transform myself to an individual that can actually channel or promote or better the lot of my society in terms of growth and development. So there is this confusion in our society for somebody who's school in Africa and for someone who's school in the Western society. Some go to school to actually pursue certificates. That is not the essence of education. If you have only gone to school to acquire certificates, you have only gone to fulfill all righteousness, just like many Africans are doing. So you are not producing, there's no way you can come out of the university and produce anything. But once you go to university and you allow the school system to go through you, you go through the university system, those are the class of people, young people, we are seeing in our society producing optimally today. I know Simi read something around read law, if I'm correct, but you ask yourself today that what is the relativity of law? Somebody like Simi should be in the courtroom defending cases, being a litigant to people, to clients. But beyond that, she's now rendering her opinion around how individuals can actually be a job creator and not job hunter as we have it in our society today. When we now look at all this that I've said in relation to an average Nigerian, to an average African, They will see us as abnormal set of individuals, but we are doing our own best to ensure that the society gets better. This is principally because of the mindset that you and I will carry. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now, before I ask this question that I want to ask from, this question goes directly to Simi. But before I go to that question, let me say something based on what Michael said. You see, I think that our frame of mind as somebody who is thinking of going to the university matters. Our understanding, parental influence and involvement matters. But I don't want to, I don't want to teach. It's you guys that are having the floor, so I'm just going to go straight to Simi. Simi, my question to you is, when you think of problem solving, aren't we supposed to know, to have an idea of a problem that we want to solve before acquiring education? Because to me, if you read my book, I'd written it that education is supposed to be targeted towards solving a problem. Maybe there's a problem in this society. Maybe there is flood, for instance, in Ekiti State. I'm expecting that some of the students who goes to the University of Ado-Ekiti should have that understanding of, okay, this is the problem that I want to solve. And when we go with that kind of mentality, I think it will reduce the number of people who goes to the university and come out jobless, which is what you're actually pursuing. I mean, something related to what you're doing, right? What's your take on this? Prior to going to problem-solving mentality, prior to going to the university.
Thank you very much. That's a brilliant question, I believe. From the video we watched the other time, it was obvious that the man said we are full of useless knowledge because they actually want us to reproduce they want us to return what we have been given. They don't even want us to have broader knowledge about anything. They want us to reproduce what we are given. I was talking about an average person knowing the definition of photosynthesis. I'm studying law, but I know photosynthesis because we were meant to cram it. If I'm teaching biology today now, and I want to probably brag for anybody that I went through secondary school, I'll just tell you photosynthesis is a process by which plant manufacture their food. Even though I don't know what it really entails, but I know it. And that is how we are meant to. That's how we are groomed. So many informations we get. I've actually gone through an exam before that the lecturer taught me something. Instead of me giving back that exact thing the lecturer gave me, I saw 2 other textbooks that were related to that. I read it and I failed successfully. Like when I asked him, because I was asking myself, like, I even went extra mile. Is it like this person doesn't want to learn more, or I did too much, like he was feeling intimidated? Because I didn't really understand what it was all about. Sometimes education can be in different forms. It can transform you and it can hinder you from growth. Because when we look at it, they don't really want you to know too much. What you gave them, what they gave you, give them back, and you have passed. But for you who is going there with the mindset to solve a problem, this is our plan about everything that
Okay, I think we are losing Simi.
you want to do. Plan.
Oh, Simi, okay. Now, I want to learn. Similarly, would you want to say a few things about the forms of education, the different forms of education?
Well, I think
You know,
it will depend on the way we are seeing it. Thank you for the question. It will depend on the way we are seeing it. If we are looking at it from
Can
the,
everyone hear?
if we are looking it.
Yes, yes, we can hear you, Simi. Just hold on a few minutes. Yeah, hold on a few minutes. I'll come back to you. I understand
Yeah,
the network.
From what I was saying, the other time, like they really don't want you to learn too much. They want you to treat it in one way or the other. Now they believe that when you are studying law, you should always think about how to go court, defend cases. You might have a different intention of going to school, which may be different from what they're actually training. It is now for you to identify why you have gone to school. Now you know that there is a problem in the society. Like you said the other time, you used flood as an example. In going to school, you want to solve a problem of flood. As a law student, you think about how law is relating policies that can actually prevent the occurrence of that you want to solve, like flood. As a magician, you think about all these factors. If this doesn't work together, then you won't get the answer you want to get. The identity key members, the principal stakeholders that can actually make things work so that we can prevent this together. Because even though you are studying mathematics, you have realized the formula that okay, A is raised to power 2. In your Pythagoras theorem, you have others raised to power 2. Having everything be study.
Okay, so
Even though you are studying mathematics, but then you are able to solve that problem in realizing that everybody has to come together. Let us have our hands on decks so that we can all solve this problem together. So I believe that going to school, the mentality will help you no matter what you study. Even when you are studying in that your English, you will ask about okay, we are about talking about clauses, we are talking about phrase. This thing is it. A sentence is incomplete without concluding the sentence. Then if we cannot conclude without being, then if there is a flood, what is so that we can solve this problem? So I think going out with that mentality of what you want to do, no matter what you are studying, you will always get a solution in what you are studying because you have the mentality that guides you through what you are studying. So that's my own belief.
okay, Simi, thank you. Timilai,
Oh yeah.
do you still have a hold of the question?
Oh yeah. Forms of education, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I think this will depend on the perspective we are viewing it from. So if we are looking at it from the academic perspective, we might say it is maybe formal and informal education. So maybe formal, those people that actually attend maybe high school to the university level, and informal, maybe those people that are just trained some other way we do not want to describe extensively. And education could also be self-directed or influenced. Perhaps someone is just taking me as maybe a distant mentor, and okay, you need to learn this new thing. This is neither informal nor it could be a combination of both. So it's another form of education that someone is influencing me to learn this thing. It's a form of education. And another form of education is self-directed. You just find purpose in learning this thing. You find purpose in learning this thing. I've seen a lot of people do that here. Like they just tell you, I am not supposed to be in school, but I came to school because while I was learning this thing on my own, I became confused. So I need someone that has learned it earlier and that now knows a lot about it to now put me through. And by the time I get that answer to that question, I will never step my feet on this line until I have another question again. So it's like that's like education with intention. So such person has learned to an extent on his or her own and has come back here maybe to just find a particular an answer to a particular question. So majorly, I think I've categorized it into 4 forms. It could be academic, it could be formal, informal, it could be self-directed, and it could be influenced. Thanks.
Thank you. Michael, I'm going back to you.
Okay.
We are getting some background noise, and Just wondering where it's coming from. Okay, Michael, I want you to paint to us, paint for us the picture of an educated fellow.
Yeah,
Or
an educated.
better still, I want you to take it a little bit further. I want you to do a contraction between comparison between an educated Nigerian and an educated straight Nigerian.
An educated Nigerian is the one who, because the place of morals in education cannot be underestimated. The essence, one of the essence or the importance of education is to actually modify the moral life of an individual. So, for example, we have seen professors who have been alleged or to have raped a student or the other. Of course, for someone to be a professor in any society, you know that he must have acquired chains of degrees upon degrees and done a lot of researches and the rest. But why will a professor still go ahead to rape a student? Looking at education from a moral perspective. So, which therefore tells that the man has only gone to school to acquire certificate, but without being morally checked, without being morally evaluated, without being morally built, compared to somebody who has not been to the four walls of learning, but yet, or perhaps who has gone to school but knows the damage that being a rapist can do to the life of an individual. So such person checks his life, checks his utterances, checks his behavior at any point in time, wherever he goes, wherever he finds himself, because education helps us as individuals to build pedigree. So, as somebody who is educated, is conscious of his pedigree, conscious of his name, but somebody who has acquired chains of degree, some PhD holders we have in our high institutions of learning, like professors we have in institutions of learning, we still not go ahead to rape his female student. So such person has not been morally checked. So the place of education in our moral life cannot be underestimated as individual. And this also applies to all other areas of life. Somebody who is educated will not engage in gender-based violence, my belief. Somebody who is educated will not go ahead stealing from the commonwealth of the public, my belief. So that is why we have a whole lot of leaders, quote and unquote, who don't know, or rather, who knows the implication of corruption in any society, but because their moral life is bankrupt, they still go ahead looting the commonwealth of our society. To me, that is how education can be looked, or can be checked, or can be opinioned from the perspective of someone who has gone to school with chains of degrees but with nothing to show for it, and with someone who has acquired limited, when I say limited now, it is in a quoted perspective, who has acquired maybe a degree but still conscious of the damage corruption can do to a society, conscious of the damage that being a rapist can do to himself, can do to a victim, and of course can do to the damage being a rapist can of course melt on a society. So when we look at all this in a very interconnected matter, we can easily differentiate from someone who has gone to school and someone who has probably not go to school, and maybe someone who has a limited formal education. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Simi, I'm going to you now. Are you with me?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So, all right. So I want to ask you this question specifically. In fact, when I was preparing it, I had you in mind. Okay. So the question is this: prior to the outbreak of coronavirus, it was reported all over the media in Nigeria and overseas that Nigeria had about 13 million out of school children. And you, as someone who is advocating for women empowerment, women should not be dependent on their husbands. That women or female, that they shouldn't depend. They shouldn't be meant to depend their lives, especially financially, on their husband or spouses. What do you think when you think about inequality in education in Nigeria?
Well, I think to a reasonable extent, when we talk about inequality and education in Nigeria, the area, the location whereby the society, the community whereby we are talking about matter. Because in this part of the world, even though they give reference to male children, they still allow the female to go to school, even though they kind of depreciate them in some ways, like you should do house chores, you should do this, you should do that, because you are a female. They still allow them to go to school. But if you go to the north, even male self, a friend of mine served in Chokoto, and he was probably telling me his experience. Like when they come to the assembly in the morning, nobody can stop them from going to farm after the assembly. You could imagine that kind of thing. Um, Now that there is pandemic, even before pandemic, prior to the pandemic, we had a lot of issues with parents, educating parents, because so many people too. It's not really about, okay, because this girl is a girl child, don't want her to go to school. It's about the children generally, because averagely, if you see a woman whose children are at home, it is probably the male and the female. They want the male to go to the farm, then they want the female to go to the market. So I think it's enlightenment generally. So many people have this misconception that people don't want their children to go to school because they are female. I don't feel it is right, because most of the parents that doesn't want their children to go to school, when you see them, it is either the female and the male that is not going to school. It is not only the female that is let out of school. So I feel about education and it is, I don't really think there is much problem to it now, like the way we emphasize it.
Okay,
So that's my
that's
own opinion about education and inequality.
okay. That's I like the fact that we have a different perspective and coming from a woman.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
so but then um, I have studied in India, so and I know that there is actually a little bit of disparity, and I know that it used to exist in Nigeria. Okay, maybe not because you are from Ekiti, right? So, and I think generally Ekiti people don't care whether you're a man or a woman when it comes to education. Okay, kudos to Ekiti people, all over the world, So, no, Michael is back now. I want to. We are rounding up now, and mind you, you can actually ask your own independent question. You can ask me questions as we round up. You can ask any of the panel members if they are okay with answering questions. We have people watching us from on YouTube. We have people watching us from Facebook and Twitter as well. So now I want to throw this question to Timileyin, and anybody can actually answer it after he has finished speaking. What is the way out? And talking about the way out, I would also like you to identify the stakeholders of education, especially looking at Africa, and you can use Nigeria as a case study.
Thank you for this wonderful question. I hope my answer will not be too elaborate because because it's a very big question and interesting one at that, which is the major reason why we are here. And I think for every reasonable discussion like this, there should be a potential solution. So starting with who the stakeholders are. We are very we are very quick when it comes to we quickly judge the leaders anytime we are talking about education, health system, whatever part of life or infrastructure in Nigeria. But I would like us to understand now that it is actually out of we the citizens that these leaders come. They emerge out of the citizens. So firstly, we should identify that there is a problem with the system. with the system as a whole. Nigeria as it is, we are our problems. First, when a father wakes up, he is the governor of the home. If there is a home that we are having, that if there is a particular home that they are having problems, then they should ask the leaders, right? If we are asking our leaders all the questions that pertain to Nigeria, then we should ask the parents the questions about what happens to their children. So I would say the first stakeholders are the parents. The first step, because number one, the Nigerian education system, the parents are the subscribers. They are the ones that pay the school fees. They are the ones that send their words to school. So when we want to start talking about the way out, we should think about those people that are actually subscribing to the educational system in Nigeria. So the parents and the students themselves. So there should be a paradigm shift. When we talk about education, our parents made us know. In fact, almost every Nigerian parent is guilty of this. If you do not go to school, you are doomed. If you do not go to school, you are doomed. So every child wants to go to school, and at times you will see students, their parents will be praying, you must pass, you must. Is it about having good grades? Really? So now when let's assume we have two children in a particular home, and one is getting 80% in his continuous assessment, and the other is having like 60, 65. Instead of the parents to start encouraging these two people, they will rather tell, see, A is doing well, though. See, your life is just shattering, and you are there, you are looking at it, right? So this time we should understand that every child needs support, and this support has to begin from home. Before we even take it out to the teachers, the lecturers, the whatever, the parents should understand that going to school is about being relevant in life, not making a way. You have to, like someone said, you have to prepare these children for this life. You are not preparing life for them. Someone said, because when you are gone, they will live their life. But you have to prepare them for this road. So when this thing is inherent, it's the mindset thing. When they have this mindset that I am going to school to acquire knowledge, to be able to solve problems and be relevant in my society, by the time I'm being relevant, then the maybe financial gains will follow. That is automatic, because nobody puts out quality out there without gaining something. By the time you give out quality, then you get something out of it. But when the financial gain is what you think about, then you want to study to just pass and just get a job. You will want to do that. But if it is about creating solutions, and this is why universities abroad, they think before anybody can accept you, you have to write statement of purpose. Definitely, it has to be inherent. You have to have purpose before even thinking about school. So it is about you not knowing how to live your life, and you want to marry to bring another person into your life. So it is about, you cannot, education itself is stressful. Let us just be saying what is factual. It is
Realistic.
Let us be realistic. It is stressful. Education is very stressful. So by the time you are not passionate about it, then you will lose interest, especially at the higher level. You will definitely lose interest if you are not passionate about what you are doing. So the parents should actually look at these children very well, support them from the very beginning. Support, whatever the case may be, support them from the very. They are the first and the most important stakeholder, because right from before these children could make choices for themselves, these parents are there, and they should be able to guide them through. Now, secondly, I've talked about the parents, I've talked about the children. Now, our government. When I were done, really, like you would see someone saying for renovation of House of Assembly complex, this is so amount we are actually putting into it, that we have budgeted for it. For so this and that, we have budgeted for it. Now, for education, oh my God, it is disheartening. It is sad. It is very, very, very sad. And the fact that all this money that we push into the educational system is majorly for salaries, it is even crazier. If it is just salary, then these people will just want to do their job and go. Like, I'm here to teach you. Whether you get it or not, it is none of my business. I'm just here to lead you, maybe tell you, just give you references, go and read it. Some lecturers will actually come in and tell you, well, as you can see, I'm busy with my PhD, and I will just have to let you know that I'm sorry I've not been to classes in the past 2-3 weeks, but the exam is coming. You have to prepare, I said, if you want to fail, you have to prepare. So just read chapter this, chapter that, chapter that. Imagine. So it is because these things are not encouraging. What is coming from the government is not even encouraging. So many of them have research acumen, but they are limited by resources. They are limited by facilities. So the government should just do well and pump wealth into educational sector. There is a lot to be done. In fact, one government cannot do it in 4 years. That is just the truth. To imagine the level of rot that has been done to it. No government can complete it in 4 years. So we really need progressive minds. And they should know that it is not just about pouring knowledge out there. It is about lightening minds up. It is about power to students. Power, not physical strength. It is a kind of mental power to let them reason beyond their physical environment, to let them see what is actually happening, what is actually happening that needs urgent and realistic solutions. So if we can all do this, I believe we might not get there once and for all, but we'll be getting close to the goal. If the government can try enough, and our lecturers, they have a long way to go. We have seen a lot of them come and go out of the shores of Nigeria, to study abroad. After all, they see how these things are done. They see how these things are done. If you are passing by your lecturer, you do not collect his bag from him or her, then you are in trouble. Wow. When someone will actually telling you, if you use sir for me, I'll be very mad at you, calling by my first name, and someone will be dragging respect with students. So we have a long way to go. Let us assume that the government is not doing well. If the government is not doing well, the lecturers are not doing well, how do you expect the students to do well? In a society that values wealth, in a society that values urgent and quick means of getting money, how do you expect them to be motivated? Even to lighten up their mind, they will tell you school now. They will tell you, because my mate is driving Benz, what am I doing here? So, but when there are structures, because our structure is very porous, if it is not porous, nobody will be making huge money out of maybe just using this internet within a very, maybe just 2 hours, and will be amassing wealth. Because they have mentors in government.
Okay. Similarly, now you have gone to something else, okay? So I'll be inviting you guys maybe soon, maybe in a week or two, for us to discuss value system. So there's no need, don't be in a haste. We will have opportunity to discuss that, and I hope that some of the people in this panel will still be interested in joining the conversation. Now, I want Simi to make a concluding statement, and gearing towards the solution, way forward. That is if you think there's a problem.
Oh, obvious the problem. It's so obvious that we go around with it and see it as even a normal way of life. Well, in the educational system, like Timileyin has rightly said, there are so many stakeholders, and I would like to tell you that everybody is a stakeholder. Number one, the first stakeholder we should consider is who is at the receiving end of this education, what they are receiving, how do they take it, how do they feel about it. So many children, like we said earlier, are going to school because they just want to go to school. They don't have the motive of going to school. They don't have intentions of going to school. Number one, because of surrounding circumstances, we talk about the parents. Are they really getting support? There's nobody that gets support from anybody to do a particular thing that won't want person. especially when it comes to education to a reasonable extent. It's not like when you tell your child, okay, come, what do you feel you want to become? How do you feel you can do well? There are so many children that their parents want them to study law, but right inside them, they want to study theater and media art. I have a cousin like that. We did something recently, and I actually told her to send me a video that was displayed on screen. When I sent her that video, she told me that this is how I'll be looking at her one day when she's actually acting movie. She's actually studying law. She's in 400 level. And what she told me was that she really wanted to study theater and media arts. I told her that if she can do well in law that she's studying now, I will follow her to any extent to study law. That is one of the encouragement, and obviously she's doing well, even though she doesn't like to study law. So one of the things is to have that support from the parents. Okay, ask your children, negotiate with them, talk to them. How do you feel about this particular thing? Why do you think you want to go to school? So many people are studying law, they don't even know why and how they got there. They don't even know what they want to do with it after. And this is one of the major. We have so many people that just go to school because their parents want them to go to school. They just go to school because they are going to school. Obviously, people get tired of school. There was a time I felt discouraged and I said I didn't want to go to school again due to so many reasons. Because in fact, when I was in junior secondary school, I got tired of school because I had an accident that I couldn't go to school the whole term, but I had to go and write exam. Funny enough, after complaining to the school, almost there was, instead of absent, there was 0204 that they didn't even give me repeat, they gave me withdrawal. So when we went back to the school to complain, the teacher was like, oh, sorry, this was a mistake, and they said I should repeat in that school. And I was like, in my first term result, I had 14 A's out of 18 subjects. And I was like, how will you tell me to repeat? So I got discouraged about school. I felt like I was not wanted in that particular atmosphere. But he insisted I will stay in that school. So again, I promoted the next year when I was in GSS2. My mates were already prefects, those people that I taught in GSS1 that were my classmates. In fact, there was one of them that really bullied me, that would tell me when I'm late, I should go and cut grass, things like that. I felt so discouraged and I stopped going to school, but nobody knew because my mom would go to work in the morning. I can actually stay at home, wear school uniform. When you come back, there's nobody in the compound to tell my mom that I didn't actually step out of the house. So I feel like in GSS2, I repeated again. And that was when my mom was now concerned, like she was not like this. She was recommended for secondary school when she was in primary school. She was doing well, and I know that she's more than this. When she changed my school, I was one of the best graduating students in my SS3. I was a prefect. I was the best graduating student in my diploma in law in EXU. Can you imagine somebody that repeated 2 times in junior secondary school? It is just circumstances and situation around that determine so many things in education. So many people are failing because of what is happening to them, how their parents are taking the education. School is not a do or die affairs. I don't subscribe to children coming back home to do home lesson. You will just make them less productive. Let them go outside. Let them go and mingle with people. Okay, now, Tolani, you are in GSS1. You are going to school. You are in GSS1 now. After school, what do you want to do? Okay, the girl tells you that, Mom, I really want to be a doctor. Apart from being a doctor, what would you like to learn? Okay, let me start with computer training. When they go for computer training, apart from them learning how to operate computers, they learn to mingle with people around them. They learn a lot of things from people. I watched the movie that a young guy went to the mechanic workshop. He met a lot of people. There was a particular young man too that lied on him. And he felt like, is this how things are done? He actually learned so many experiences from that particular thing. So apart from giving your child, making them go through school, make them go through other aspects of life. There are so many children, they don't leave their houses. Either they go to school. Now, after you want them to get job, they don't even know anybody. They have not moved with anybody. You don't allow them to mingle with people. You don't allow them to mingle with anybody. You don't allow them to do other things. You did not equip them with any skills. We are all aware that there is no job in Nigeria as we speak. It is very difficult in Nigeria to get job. But you want them to go to school and you make them believe that they can actually get job after they are done with school, without even opening their eyes to other opportunities around them. Now they are looking for job. The sole of their shoe self is wearing off, and I don't understand. You don't have a job you want to give them, and you still insist that they should continue looking for job until they see job. until they find job. How will they find the job? You are not giving them job. You are not opening their eyes to other opportunities. I don't understand. Like, so many issues are around that we have to deal with. Number one, parents should make their children realize that everything is not all about education, is not restricted to the four walls of the university or the school. This is where they can acquire knowledge, learn so many things, and even it will be useful for them. I run a foundation, the System Foundation. I started doing social work since a very long time. I became financially independent when I was 13. I started working for people, and it helped me in a lot of ways. There are so many programs that I want to go for, to go and learn, maybe conferences. If my parents are not giving me um, transport fare to go for something I want to go and do, then the level of control and it will be kind of minimal. They will just tell you, okay, you feel you want to go to for this thing, and it's actually an avenue to learn. But parents sometimes, when they know that they are the ones that will actually pay for maybe your hotel accommodation, pay for your transport, pay for everything, they will tell you that you don't need to go, that you are too small for it. But because you are paying for yourself, they will see that willingness in you to actually go out there to do something different, then they will obviously support you. So it goes everybody. Let's forget about government. There are so many graduates that don't even know why they went to school. Is it also the fault of the government? Even though things are not encouraging around here, but people are still making it. That's just the mere fact. Everybody, including the government, if they give encouragement to people, then we will learn more. Then we should also, our lecturers should also encourage people to innovate, to come up with good ideas, nice ideas. Then in school now, there is an aspect of when you see somebody, a young person doing amazing things, celebrate them, even if that thing doesn't make sense. They will be encouraged to do something that makes sense. Even if somebody tells you that, I'm in primary one, I invented a matches, you feel like matches is something very simple to do, even though you can't do it. That's how people do things. I saw a post on Facebook recently about Ekiti State University. A young guy invented a single pedal dispenser for water and this thing dispenser for a single pedal for water, soap, and sanitizer. And I was like, oh, this is impressive. Some people are like, that is not the kind of innovation we want now. And my question is, what have you inventing? But you have never done anything. But you are the ones there discouraging people about what they are doing rightly. I feel that encouragement should come from anyone. Let's celebrate our little beauty in one day. If you see anybody doing something amazing, celebrate them. So don't even know that I'm still in school. I'm a 500 level law student of Ekiti State University. But everybody believes that I'm a lawyer because I'm doing something differently that stands me out from others. There are so many people that have graduated a long time ago. Even when I was still in diploma in law, I were in 500 level then, and they will come and ask me, how far, and show us the way. You understand? It is just your personal. There are so many people that went to school and they will still become useless at the end of the day. So it's the way you carry yourself as an individual, receiving the knowledge, know what you want to do with it. Then the lecturers around, the government, the parents, everybody as stakeholders. So I believe the way out is just for everybody to identify the role they play, and they should play this role accurately. Thank you.
Thank you, Simi. Thank you so much. You said so many things, and it's difficult to catch up with you. Well, thank you so much. Now, since you have an NGO, I think an average Nigerian NGO needs to hire a professional social worker or an NGO or professional, because what you practice, what you do is social service, not social work. I'm a trained social worker. So I am saying this so that Nigerians who are interested in NGOs should know that there is need to understand the structures. And this is not just about you. And if you want to hire me, to consult for you, let's talk after this program. So, Michael, I want to have your, concluding word, because we've spent a lot of time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And, on the way forward. Please make it as brief as.
All right. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Michael,
Yeah, thank you. I have the floor now. I would love to
yes,
speak from the angle of government now because Timi and Simi already said it all. But let me just talk from the policy angle now. The role that government is playing in any society cannot be overemphasized. And the principal responsibility of any government in any society is to ensure the security of lives and properties. And when we are talking about the security of lives here, education component is also involved in security. And what we are facing in Nigeria today, most especially in the northeast and in the northwest, is as a result of the problem of education, which has led to insecurity in that region. And of course, as we have in Mali, we have in other countries in the Sahel and the Sub-Saharan region. What I'm saying in essence is this: no nation can rise above the level of our education, number one. And terrorism will always be a daily occurrence in any society that undermines the quality of education of our young people, most especially the youth. Now, I'm saying this because we have seen countries that got our independence after Nigeria, the likes of Malaysia, the likes of South Korea, if I'm correct, the likes of Singapore. And we have seen what policy has done in terms of meaningful policy formulation has done to some of this country. Few days ago, yesterday, I was listening to a video of Lee Kuan Yew, how he marshaled the change in Singapore, and he brought about policy reforms that brought about Singapore being one of the Asian tiger economy. What am I saying in essence is that the policy system of government matters a lot to what Timi has said, to what Simi has said. When all these are being backed up with good policy system, I want to believe that we are in for it. For example, I'm rounding up now. An average Nigerian governor earns nothing less than 600 million as security votes every month. And this is money that cannot be questioned, that even if you want to charge them to court, you don't have any evidence because there is no constitutional backup to this. And some of them ends up to as high as 1 billion in a month, depending on how volatile your state is. And when we put all this together, it is more than the annual budgetary allocation to education in Nigeria per annum. Then how have we landed ourselves in this state of quagmire? University of Eastern Colorado and one university in the United States, their annual budget for education is more than the entire budget of Nigeria put together for 2 years. Then how do we want to achieve meaningful education in this part of the world? Education requires high level of funding, and when any nation is committed to funding education, all other spheres of the society will be unilaterally affected. And I'm saying this conclusively. UNESCO standard for education is that 30% of annual budgetary allocation, annual budget of any country should go into education. But let me ask you, how much is our government, whether at local, at state, at national level, how much are they budgeting on education? Little wonder we have produced a whole lot of graduates that have gone to school, but they are free of knowledge. That would be my submission. Thank you.
thank you so much, Michael. Thank you. We are really grateful. Now, I think Timilai spent so much time the other time, so I probably won't be coming back to you. I want us to round up because some people will be watching this video later, so I don't want them to be discouraged. But I'm using this opportunity, on a live video like this to invite you again for opportunities for us to discuss on other issues that are germane to the development of our society. Remember that we are social makers. We are what do I call it? We are change makers.
Change makers.
We are change makers in our own right, and we are stakeholders. All right. If everything goes well, it's good for us. It's good for the society. So I want to encourage us to continue to make impact in our little way. Whichever way you've been doing it, I want you to continue. See me, you are a young, beautiful Ekiti woman, and I want to encourage you to continue to do what you do. And the reason is that there's somebody who said, I'm doing this for myself. But most importantly, I'm doing it for other people who will see me. I want much more Ekiti people to, women especially, to have the kind of confidence that you have been building, because you have just started, so you don't know where you are going. You don't even have a clue the kind of future that you are preparing for yourselves yet. Because self-esteem and confidence is something that cannot be taken away from anybody. It prepares you for life. All right? And these are things that should be prepared. That's why you guys should read my book, okay? Some of you have read it. Anyway, viewers, thank you for having us. Thank you for spending time with us. It is Opinion Sharers. And I'm going to be having these people again, whether individually or collectively as we have it today. So I want to say thank you, because I know this means a lot, the time that you have spent, the money that you have spent. I want to say thank you. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the society that we are trying to build. And I am hoping that soon we'll begin to see the fruits of our labor. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.